إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير هادي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. O people, O Muslims, O believers, fear Allah as He has ordered you to fear Him. And thank Him for His many blessings to you. And thank Him for His many favors to you, because there is no favor or kindness that I have, and no favor or kindness that you have, except that it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is obvious to us, because those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they're using their blessings and when they're using their favors, it's obvious to them that it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so they remember Him. Therefore, we must accept these favors by being thankful. The way to respond to a favor is thanks. We must use these favors in goodness and fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so the favors will stay with us, and so they will not be canceled from us. Because those of us who get a favor and we don't show thankfulness to it or about it, we could lose the favor because we ourselves have shown by our actions that we don't want the favor. قال تعالى وإذ تأذن ربكم لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. And remember when your Lord proclaimed, if you give thanks by accepting the faith and worshiping none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will give you more. Meaning more of the blessings will come to people who are thankful. But if you are thankless, as the unbelievers are thankless, verily my punishment is indeed severe. Among the greatest blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Bani Adam is His home, is His house. The ni'mah, the barakah of having a place to live in. And if we don't believe that having a place to live in is a barakah, ask someone who presently or any time in their past had no place to live, no place to call home. Ask a child who has had no place to call home and no place to live. Ask a man who has had nowhere to go when the nightfall comes, when the temperature changes and when it gets cold. Ask him, is not a home a barakah? Ask him, is a home a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? As a matter of fact, the homeless one who is ever homeless will tell you that he had no home and the squirrel had a home to go to, and he had no home and the ants and the roaches and the mice had homes to go to. He will tell you it's a barakah to have a house, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given things lower than us. He has given them all homes to live in. Even some of the viruses and bacteria that people carry in their bodies right now, you are their house. قال تعالى وجعل الله لكم والله جعل لكم من بيوتكم سكنا وجعل لكم من جلود الأنعام بيوتا تستخفونها يوم ضنعكم ويوم إقامتكم. And Allah has made for you in your homes an abode, and made for you out of cattle tents for dwelling, which you find so lightweight when you travel and when you stay stationary. However, being a Muslim, ibadallah, is something special. Being a Muslim is not like being just like anybody else. And the mistake that we make sometimes is that we don't prioritize the fact that we are Muslims, and being a Muslim is something special. We prioritize it when we want something. But do we prioritize it when something is being sought from us? Being a Muslim is special. Therefore, the house of a Muslim must be different from other houses, because inside that house, people are doing what Allah has legislated. The people in Muslim homes remember Allah and make many voluntary salawat in these homes. Among the things that people do in Muslim homes is that they pray voluntary salah in their homes. عن أبي موسى رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل البيت الذي يذكر الله فيه وبيت الذي لا يذكر الله فيه مثل الحي والميت. The likeness of a home where Allah is remembered and the likeness of a home where Allah is not remembered is the likeness between life and death. Like being alive and being dead. The house where there's no remembrance of Allah that a Muslim lives in, his house is dying. And the people's hearts inside the house are dying because their hearts are enlivened by the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال اجعلوا من صلاتكم في بيوتكم ولا تتخذوها قبورا. Make your homes a place where prayer, meaning salah, is made, and do not make them like the graves, meaning a place where salat is never made. And we're talking about not the maktuba, ibadallah, we're talking about the nafila. And for women, the maktuba. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تجعلوا بيوتكم قبورا ومقابر إن الشيطان ينفر من البيت الذي يقرأ فيه سورة البقرة. The Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, as narrated by Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه, do not make your homes as graves. Verily, shaitan runs away from a house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is being read. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام عليكم بالصلاة في بيوتكم وإن خير صلاة المرء في بيته إلا المكتوبة. It's incumbent upon you to make salah in your homes, because the best salah of a person can make is in his house, except for the obligatory ones. These hadiths show that it's been legislated to enliven your homes with voluntary salah and enlighten your homes with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with tahleel, la ilaha illallah, wa tasbih, subhanallah, wa takbir, Allahu akbar, and a variety of other remembrances. عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما أنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا دخل الرجل بيته وذكر الله عند دخوله وعند طعامه قال الشيطان لا مبيت لكم ولا عشاء. وإذا دخل فلم يذكر الله عند دخوله قال الشيطان أدركتم المبيت. وإذا لم يذكر الله عند طعامه قال الشيطان أدركتم المبيت والعشاء. When a person enters his house and mentions the name of Allah at the time of entering and eating the food, shaitan says you have no place to spend the night and no evening meal. But when he enters without mentioning the name of Allah, shaitan says you have found a place to spend the night. And when he does not mention the name of Allah when he's eating food, shaitan says you have found a place to spend the night and you have found an evening meal as well. This is Bismillah. This hadith shows that when Allah's name is mentioned in the house, it is a protection from shaitan. Because shaitan follows the affair of a Muslim no matter what he or she does. Every single affair. When entering the house, when he's eating and drinking. So if he or she mentions the name of Allah, shaitan flees from him or her. As for those who are negligent about this, shaitan stays with him, eating, drinking, and spending the night. As the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he stays with him eating, drinking, spending the night, and encouraging the person to do sin. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا وَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. And whoever turns away from the remembrance of Ar-Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we appoint for him a shaitan to be an intimate companion to him. The one who does not remember Allah and is neglectful of remembering Allah, his partner is one of the shayateen. Whether he knows it or doesn't know it. Whether he can see him or doesn't see him. This is his partner. If he doesn't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan will never leave the neglectful alone. And his soldiers and his helpers will never leave a person who forgets to remember Allah alone. He will remain with him as his partner as long as he is forgetful. قال تعالى وَاجْلِبْ عَلَيْهِمْ بِخَيْلِكَ وَرِجْلِكَ وَشَارِكْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ وَعِدْهُمْ وَمَا يَعِدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. And make assaults on them with your cavalry and your infantry, and mutually share with them, meaning shaitan, share with them in their wealth, and share with them in their children, meaning by tempting them to earn money in illegal ways, or by committing illegal sexual intercourse, etc., and make promises to them. But shaitan promises nothing but lies. So people who have shaitan as a qareen, he's always with them, and he assaults them. He assaults them with a cavalry. He assaults them with an army. He assaults them with an infantry. And the Sheikh Abdullaah Ibn Muhsin al-Abad, Habibahumullah, he said that when he says, shaitan says you have no place to live and no food to eat, he's telling his helpers, that you have no place to eat in the house of a Muslim because he remembers Allah. And you have no place to sleep in the house of a Muslim because he or she remembers Allah. He said that's what it means. He tells his helpers this. But as for those who do not remember him or claim they remember him, but they do acts that oppose Islam, you cannot remember the Quran and not remember the Sunnah while opposing the Quran and the Sunnah. People think they are immune from the attack of shaitan. So you find people will come to a home that is not his home and knock on the door. And he will try to come in the home with a woman and stay with the woman without marriage. Then if he thinks he sealed the deal by stealing the deal, then he wants to come to the masjid and say, I want to get married because I stealed her emotions. I've tied up her emotions now. Now I want to get married. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What makes her think you're immune from the attack of shaitan? What makes her think that you're immune from the punishment that comes down upon fornicators and adulterers? What makes her think that illegal children is something the Muslim community wants? What makes her think the child has the right of the father, even though Islam says he doesn't have that right? What makes you think you're fair? What makes you think you're just? What makes you, sister, think you're just and that you're fair? Muslim houses are not for that. A Muslim house is not for a fornicator. A Muslim household is not for an adulterer. A Muslim household is not to keep turning over and over again, bringing unwanted children into the world. Because daddy, you couldn't have wanted him, because if you wanted him, you'd have married. If you wanted him or her, you would have married the mother before the conception of the child. So you didn't even want the child. And this is that lack of accountability that we find in the Muslim community. And as long as men are not going to hold themselves accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can we expect the outside community to give us some respect that we so solely say we deserve and that we need? So shaitan is the qareen. And shaitan is the one that shares in the children. And shaitan is the qareen. And Shaitan shares in the wealth. So where are you going to go tonight, Akhi? When the sun goes down, where are you going tonight? Tonight, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. If you got a home to go to, I would think you leave the house of Allah and go to your house. Sister, and this is impossible for me to even fathom, to even realize where you're going to go. When that sun goes down, unless you're working or taking a trip, you must be going to your house. Because there's nothing in the street for believers in the night. What's in the street for believers? You must be going to that place where you find safety, where you gather together with your family, where you remember Allah, where you're teaching your children, where they're learning, and you're going to sleep and waking up and making tahajjud and making wutr and getting ready to make fajr and come to the masjid. What other lifestyle is there for a believer except that lifestyle? Unless he or she has convinced themselves with Shaitan's help that they are immune from Shaitan's effects and immune from the punishment of Allah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. The home of believers is the place where the family gathers, where all the individuals come together. This environment must be Islamic and its foundation must be upon birr and taqwa. Our houses have to be places that are free from things that contradict Islam and the manner of Islam. If your home contradicts Islam, you're contradicting Islam, you're open for what? Disappointment and punishment. Disappointment and punishment. If we don't do this, we will have corruption in our families. Righteousness in the family is the way to complete pleasure of the eyes in this world and the hereafter. And corruption in the family leads to rupture, a break in the relationships in this world and in the hereafter. A Muslim home should be safe from the poisonous stares of outsiders. In other words, if you come to visit me or visit another Muslim brother, then you shouldn't be trying to stare past him into his house. Muslim house is supposed to be protected from stares and intrusion of people's eyes. And those inside the house should have a feeling of security from anyone who comes into the house. It should be safe and secure from visitors seeing the aura of those who live in there or seeing any of their personal things. And no one should enter a brother's home without permission. قال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها ذلكم خير لكم لعلكم تذكرون فإن لم تجدوا فيها أحدا فلا تدخلوها حتى يؤذن لكم وإن قيل لكم ارجعوا فارجعوا هو أزكى لكم والله بما تعملون عليم. O believers, do not enter houses other than your own until you have asked permission and greeted those in them. That is better for you, in order that you may remember. And if you don't find anyone in there, still do not enter without permission. To permission has been given. And if you're asked to go back, go back. It is pure for you, and Allah is all knower of what you do. Therefore, no one should enter anyone's home without permission. After he enters, he should greet the people of the house. When someone comes to a person's home, he should never stand in front of the door. In other words, if a person comes to a home, he shouldn't be standing. When a brother opens the door, he shouldn't find you face front in front of the door. You should either be to the left of the door or the right of the door and not in front of the door. If a person opens the door and you're at the front of the door and he has a hallway, his daughter or his wife crosses, you could possibly see behind him and see his family. And you should not be looking on purpose at anyone's family. You should not on purpose trying to seek a peek at anyone's family. Not even the man of the family if you're not inside the house. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال أبو القاسم صلى الله عليه وسلم لو أن امرأة أطلع عليك بغير إذن فحفته بحصاة ففقت عيناه فلم يكن عليك جناح. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He said, Abu Qasim, meaning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if any person peeps at you without your permission and you poke him with a stick and injure his eye, there will be no sin upon you. وعن عقبة ابن عامر رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إياكم ودخول على النساء. So first of all, going to someone's house, stay your eyes away from their windows. You're supposed to come to the door, stay to the right or left of the door, and not ever look inside someone's house. Not ever. The intention is to come to the house with the demand, and not ever look inside his home without his permission. Or don't even come to his home without his permission. On Uqba ibn Amr, radiallahu anhu, and Nabi Rasulullah sallam قال, إياكم والدخول على النساء. Be warned about entering where women are. فقال الرجل من الأنصار أرأيت الحم قال الحم موت. A man from the Ansars, the Prophet Messenger of Allah said, be warned about entering where women are. A man from the Ansar says, what do you say about the in-laws, especially the brother-in-law? What do you say about him? What do you say about the husband's brother? The in-law. The Prophet Muhammad said, Al-Hamu Mot. He said, the brother-in-law, that in-law, he is death. That in-law, he is death. The husband's brother, he is death. He is death. What does it mean he's death? Meaning that fear from this family member of the husband, it should be intense. Very dangerous. You see, play family, that's not in this religion. If you say that's my uncle, then that should be your uncle. If you say that's my brother, then that should be your brother. If you say this is my sister, meaning your shaqiqah, meaning she's a sister to you born from your mother, that's who it has to be. And we can't play family, play the way the people of non-Muslims play that. Playing family. We don't have play families. Actual blood ties, because from these blood ties come ahkam. Rulings come from them as to how you're supposed to conduct yourself socially with them. So everybody understand, no one take a person that's not their relative and tell someone that that's their relative. No one do that. قال الشيخ صالح فوزان حفظه الله. He said that Hamu Mot, the brother-in-law is death. He said لأنه يتساهل في دخول أكثر من غيره. He said because this man, he could come into your house easier than anybody else could come in. He's the husband's brother. He knocks on the door. Who is it? It's Abdullah. Oh yeah, that's Abdurrahman's brother. I'm gonna let him in. The wife lets him in. He can get in easy. He's the husband's brother. He said يتساهل دخوله أكثر من غيره. He's easy to come in the house than anybody else. فدل هذا الحديث على تعظيم حرمات بيوت المسلمين ومحرمهم وخطر دخول الرجال نجانب على النساء ولو كانوا من أقارب الزوج. He said this hadith shows that the Muslim household has hurma. It is sanctioned. It is a sanctuary, and not anybody can come into it. Not even the husband's relative, not even his brother. If no one is there, the brother's not supposed to come to the house and come in. Cousins are off the map totally. No cousins. Oh, that's his cousin. So what? Outside the door, no cousins. Because in Islam, we can marry our cousins. In case you didn't know, we can marry Ibn Nu'am, Ibn Nukhad. We can marry them. A girl can marry her cousin. So you don't play around playing cousin. Here come cousin so-and-so at the door. Oh, he's my cousin. We just strolling down the street. It's my cousin. No. No cousin. Cousin is out. And no fake brother. Is he your brother? No, we just call each other that. You know, you just call each other that? No, really, I'm not talking about al-akhideen. I mean, the man's acting like this is his brother. Like his mother and father, like his mother gave birth to him. That is wrong. Then you marry a woman. She hear you call this man your brother all this time. You never clarify the man is not your brother. Then what do? Walk in the house. He sit up in the house. What you doing? It's your brother. I let him in. He's not my brother. What you told me was your brother? So let's be careful about families, and we have to stay on this issue of family. We have to stay here until, inshallah ta'ala, we cover some issues about family, because we are who we have. We have to purify our relationships, purify our wealth the best that we can in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we cannot play in this issue. So we don't make the kind of mistakes that people who have the slightest information about Islam just don't make over and over again. Barakallahu fikum. Aqim as-salah.